Hello and welcome back to Isimo Podcast. Isimo Podcast, right?
Isimo Podcast.
My name is Gerardo Alarcon.
My name's Ryan Reyes.
And I'm Dominic Angel.
And today we would like to just welcome you back and welcome to the new studio, the Isimo Podcast Studios. We're going to be figuring things out here as we go along. But the important thing is that you're here, right?
Thank you for being.
Yeah, thank you for being a friend. If you haven't already, follow us on Instagram at isimopod, ISIMOPOD. Email us at isimopod@gmail.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, rate and review however you can. I don't know if Spotify does reviews. Do they?
You can follow us there, and that helps us.
There we go. Follow us on Spotify. And to everyone that has followed us already, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for everybody who told us what their favorite Mexican food is, and that told us all that we were wrong.
Bro, you know my mom got mad at me.
Why?
Because we didn't mention guisado.
I don't know what that is.
You don't know what guisado is?
Not off the top.
I think I know what it is. You'd have to describe it.
No, you have to describe it because you're the one that thinks you know what it is.
I don't
Yeah,
remember.
it's true. Right? That's how the game works.
Yeah. I mean, I don't make the rules, dog. What kind of beef is it? Oh, fuck, I'm an idiot. Whoa, I'm an idiot. It's beef and
That's how you
potatoes,
get that
basically.
done.
It's beef, potatoes, and the pata sauce or pato, whatever.
Yeah,
Oh, I know what that is.
Bro.
Oh, fuck.
We just literally just call that meat and potatoes.
Oh, guisado sounds better. And it's
Yeah,
not
it
three
does.
words, it's one word.
Meat and potatoes sounds rustic.
But yeah, so I make another amendment to my list and guisado's on there somewhere.
Okay.
Anyways, but today's episode, we're going to be discussing, everyone together, fathers.
My papa.
Mi papas.
Yeah.
We realize also that we didn't do a Mother's Day episode, but let's be honest, Flamin' Hot Cheetos, way more important than moms, right?
Yes. Richard Montañez. It's not Richard Montañez, okay?
It's not Richard Montañez, dude. So we will be revisiting moms, whether it's next week or the week after that, or maybe in a year. I mean, come on.
I mean, we live with her, so.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You don't live with your mom, do you?
No, but for the joke, I do.
Oh, okay. Got you. Yeah. But today we're discussing fathers. I don't live with my dad. Do you guys live with your dads or no?
No.
We haven't lived with them in some time.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Like 19 years.
19 years.
22.
22 years?
Yeah.
Damn. Years fly by, don't they?
Yeah.
At 1 second it's 19 years, the next second it's 22 years, dude. Jesus Christ. That was a great laugh. So who wants to start with their fatherly experience here?
Well, he knew him the longest
That's true. I mean,
because he's the oldest. That was a joke.
Okay. I don't know. I was thinking about how to start this. It's very complicated. Like first and foremost, before I get into things, I have to say that I love my dad and that we have a great relationship currently, and that all the stuff that I talk about, I understand some things might sound unfair to my mom, and I love my mom and nobody could take away anything that she did, and how much I love and respect everything that she was able to accomplish as a single mother. So I just wanted to get that out of the way before people come after me for like whatever, letting my dad off the hook for things. Because the thing is that, like, you know, my parents, I'm the second of four. My parents had my first brother when my mom was, I think, 16, and then me when she was 18. And then, you know, so they were young teen parents, and they were trying to figure their shit out. And at a certain point, you know, understandably, they separated.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the reasons why I wanted to clarify was because my dad didn't abandon us like some people, you know, which I understand if you're in that situation, you know, my heart goes out to you. I don't mean to demean anyone.
Yeah.
But it's like for us, like my mom did what she thought was best and like took my brothers and I and like decided to figure things out because that was best. And honestly, you know, I think it was the best. I think my parents were young. My dad was really young. He had his own shit going on that he had to figure out. He came from a big family. He was the middle child, so he kind of got overlooked a lot. And, he was still figuring himself out when he was having kids. I was thinking about, when I was 22, I wrote this story about my parents, about how when we were kids, and I was like, damn, I could not like imagine having to I'm 29 right now, and I still can't imagine taking care of
I mean, I second that, dude. Like, that's like a lot of, it is weird trying to talk this episode because a lot of things that I could say about my dad are things that I've done to other people, possibly, right, in different circumstances. I don't have kids, so I don't know what that's like being. I think my dad was 23 when he had me, and then 21 when he had my sister, and I could be wrong. That's a possibility too. Right. No, he was 24 because he's 60 something now, 65 or something. No, he's 50 something. Oh my God, Jesus Christ. Anyway, keep going. Anyway, long story short, your parents did separate.
They separated.
How old were you when they separated?
It's kind of a murky area.
The age?
No, not the age.
okay.
It's because they were back and forth. Like, my mom was trying to stay together, but also we were separated. Like, it just happened back and forth over the years. Like, literally, I think when she first took us I was maybe 4 or 5 because I was in kindergarten in Texas. Ryan was the only one of us that was born in Texas.
Yeah, I was 3 when we officially moved because she was still pregnant.
No, you were a baby. You don't remember because you were a baby. I was alive and cognizant at the time, so I know.
Ryan has some amendments to Dom's speech here, but
no. Well, sorry, I don't mean to mess you up. I know that you're a genius. I turned 3 the year that we moved back, so I was 2, but I turned 3.
Moved back to California?
Yeah, because she grew up in California. She's from California.
Oh, okay. So did the move to Texas have to do anything with the separation?
Yeah. My mom left in the middle of the night, revved up.
What? I mean, if you
referencing
leave
a song for context.
Oh, okay.
She did not leave in the middle of the night. She wasn't.
Oh, revved up like a douche in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
If I can provide context, she moved to Texas to live with my father's family because they live in El Paso, which is where I was born. And then by the time she was pregnant with our youngest brother, that's when they separated officially and they moved to California to live with her family.
None of these things are true, by the way.
You're adding.
You're younger than me. How are you going to have the real timeline?
I'm just trying to provide context that you're not providing.
Parents, dads especially, kind of like I think, like historically have taken the leadership role of the family.
Fathers.
So
yes.
So like for me, my parents never separated, but they also are of the mind of like we're part of the Catholic Church. We'll never separate.
Right.
Yeah. Were your parents married in the Catholic Church?
No, I mean, I don't think so.
Yeah.
No.
I think they're both Christian, aren't they?
I mean, they're Christian insofar as they're Mexican.
The leadership role of the father, I mean, we talked about it 2 episodes ago, machismo.
Yeah.
Like that kind of shit. It does kind of like, especially in the scope of a 2021, 30-year-old looking back, like kind of thing. It's a wild living experience.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't imagine it. I mean, and there's people that are currently like that young that are raising families, and it's like, good luck, dude. Like, like I wish you the best. Like, power, I could not figure that shit out. I had enough stuff I was dealing with, just figuring out myself. So anyone that attempts it, and especially for like parents, mothers, and fathers that are like doing it of their own volition, like they make the choice to do it, and the people that step up, they show up and they try to do their best to be a good parent.
Yeah.
I really admire that and respect that because it's tough. Like it's I can't imagine. I could barely take care of my dog and I love him.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah. So it's like people that are able to do that want to do that, and that are capable. Like, I don't know. I feel like at some point, I think I do want kids.
Yeah. I would love to have a kid, but I would also like to not be a kid anymore. You know what I mean?
Right.
I feel like I still have childish tendencies. I'm sure you guys can see it. I mean, I'm a comedian.
Yeah.
I'm like on the path of maturity somehow, some way. I got my own place now, but slowly but surely, maybe little Gerardos will be running around this place. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You're gonna go from Sonic the Plant Hog to Sonic the Dad Hog.
Do you mind if I ask why your parents separated?
My dad, was running around with, people of a certain ilk and like getting into trouble. He would go out a lot. He would leave for days, come back. He liked to party. And, he got into some stuff that, I don't think he's embarrassed about talking about these things, but it's not my place to like share all this stuff. Yeah. So yeah, he was just not being responsible. He wasn't showing up. And I think there was some stuff about like another relationship outside of the marriage. And like, there was a lot of drama that happened between him and my mom at the end. And so it kind of came to a boiling point where it had nothing to do with safety. There nothing to do with abuse or anything like that, domestic violence. It had more to do with just about being held down and being kind of, he was holding back the family essentially at the time. And so she needed to get out of there. And so she just finally decided, I can't deal with this and we're leaving. Yeah. And that's what happened. So we left Texas. At night, my uncle picked us up and like took us to a bus station. And then me, my brother, Ryan, and my mom rode the bus from Texas to California. And then my grandma and my aunt picked us up in the middle of the night.
So they broke up in Texas?
No, they separated.
Yeah, in Texas.
In Texas.
Why would you go across, like, in the middle of the night? Why would you go all the way to California? She had people here in California?
My grandma and my aunt were here. Like, my aunt, like my mom's side of the family were out here.
What have you guys learned from your dad, if anything?
You want to start, Ryan?
I mean, as you say, I would say that the thing that Dominic was kind of alluding to earlier is we definitely have different experiences in regards to our father, because I was young when we moved, and our little brother, like, I think hadn't been born yet, so we only remember my dad at the point that he started taking care of himself or making steps to taking care of himself for the sake of like seeing us. And they knew him before that, so it was always like a different relationship between the four of us. Yeah. And our father. But he did his best to like kind of teach us what his father taught him about like being, similar stuff we alluded to on the machismo episode, like being a man, being strong, being confident you are. One thing he would always, even like when we were little kids, he would always make sure we were like standing up straight with their chin up kind of a thing.
What's funny is that I'm glad my parents really never did that to me, because I would watch other parents do that and I'll be like, damn, that's evil.
My dad would come up behind us if we're slouching and he would just go,
really?
Dig his thumbs into your...
He was weird. I have this thing about... If you notice when I crack my neck, it's really loud, and it's because I've been doing it since I was like 5, because he would literally come up to me and be like, hey, how's it going? And then just crack my neck really hard, and now it just cracks that loudly.
Oh, jeez.
So Ryan got a loud neck from my dad.
No, like the space between the muscles develops over time the more you crack.
We're not here to talk about muscles, Ryan.
So starting at a young age, doing it up until now, like it's louder because it's literally a bigger pocket of air.
Yeah.
Physics.
Crazy. I don't think that's physics. I think that's anatomy.
Science.
We're not in school right now. Why are we talking about this?
Because you keep bringing it up.
You brought it up.
Anyway.
So what did you learn from your dad?
I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I took from my dad. Like my dad is the reason why we have a sense of humor. For sure. A big reason why. Like he was always really funny. He's a very charismatic guy. He has a big personality. And yeah, we would always joke around with him whenever we would see him. He's one of the reasons why I love movies, why I love filmmaking, why I got into filmmaking was because we used to always go to the movies, when we would visit, when we would hang out. I mean, even before my parents separated, we loved movies. Yeah. Yeah. And he was, even now, like when we show him, cooking. He's a really good cook. He likes to grill. I honestly, I feel like, the number one thing I always think about of like, what have I taken from my dad is our experience has shown me that like, unconditional love is like being able to love somebody and understand them as a flawed person, but like to continue to love someone, you know. And I'm not even saying this about my dad. I'm saying this about how he treats others.
Yeah.
You know, he because of his upbringing and because of his history, you know, I think he tries to see people for who they are underneath everything. And like he tries to be understanding of all people, even though sometimes, you know, we disagree on a lot of things. He's more traditional in some ways. But definitely just like he never stopped loving his kids, which was super important to me to remember over the years. But one thing that always stuck with me that I didn't realize until later, fully realize, is that my dad always loved me and loved his kids, loved my brothers, always loved me, you know, and has always been there for us. And there was some resentment for a while in my teens and into my early adulthood. It wasn't until I was until the pandemic where I started to see a lot of and understand like his trauma and his upbringing that I was like, he reached a point where he stopped trying to be in our lives in so much as that he didn't make a big deal. Because when I was younger than 18, he had to be like, you guys are coming with me, and I had to listen, you know?
Yeah.
But there was always this resentment towards him from being away, from being separated. And then when I graduated from high school and I went off and I started trying to make movies and started trying to do creative stuff, I just was like, he's not even in my mind. Like, I'm not thinking about him. But he always had the door open. He always said, like, you guys are always welcome to come. You have a room, you have a bed to stay here. If you guys want, I'd love to see you guys, you know, come cook.
So when you said that, you know, you remembered growing up that your dad always loved you, right?
Yeah.
But when you were first younger, it didn't always feel like your dad loved you, right? Or I'm talking about my experience personally. Like actions that your dad would do weren't really actions of love, which caused then to be like, it's like a weird wiring of the brain where you're like, my dad hitting me is him loving me kind of thing.
Right.
I don't know if that's happened to you, but I can identify with that. I'm not saying my dad had a problem hitting me.
Yeah.
It was just discipline, but it was always followed with like some kind of love sentiment, you know, at the end.
Yeah. I mean, I think there was some stuff. I think I would get jealous of my dad going to hang out with friends because I didn't get to see him all the time. We would only hang out with them on the weekends, even when I was really little. And this is memories that hit me later that I didn't realize that I had this like jealousy that I didn't realize that I was perceptive enough to realize that my dad wasn't around a lot when I was a kid.
Yeah.
That he would go out a lot. And, so there's like stuff like that of like him not being there. And then when we left and he needed to give up his habits, he turned to religion. And, you know, everybody can say whatever they want about religion, and I totally understand it, but it really did help my dad like start to become who he is and be the right kind of person.
Well, yeah, some people would say that Alcoholics Anonymous is like a religion to some.
Right. Yeah.
And it's helped me like defining what a higher power is rather than reading a book and being like, damn, Jesus is crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a weird, I don't know, it's a weird connection that happens in your brain where you kind of have everything figured out. And that's like the worst thing to say. But I think, you know, as opposed to before when I was just living life like by instinct of just like, I want good feelings all the time. You know?
Right.
But so for me, like loving my dad, like I'm not gonna sit here and say like I always love my dad, because I know for a fact that there's times where I was like, I don't fucking love you. You know what I mean? There was times where we got in screaming matches about whether or not we loved each other, and it was never really a question to my dad, but the actions were so confusing to me when I was so young. Mm-hmm. And I can see that now. Like I know now, whether it's through conversations with my dad or, you know, actions, that, you know, he's always loved me. It's just a weird, you know, like my brain was this small and it grew to be what it is now, you know?
Right.
And along the way, I learned a couple things, and especially learned about how different people love each other by not reading the 4 Agreements or whatever fucking book, but just, from personal experience, like my mom and dad loved me. Like love comes in different ways at times, and there's always like contentious arguments you'll have, but they fucking love me like unconditionally, you know. Even at my worst non-sober days, they still loved me.
Yeah.
You know, and not being sober, I took advantage of that while also saying that they didn't. You know what I mean? You don't love me, but I was still taking advantage of the fact that they did.
I mean, this was a lot. I had my own issues when I was a young adult, and most of it was just financial irresponsibility. Yeah. It was losing jobs. It was, you know, getting into car accidents. My mom bailed me out so many times, you know, like she picked me up on Mother's Day because I ran out of gas. Like, damn, shit like that. Like, wow. So, but it's like that thing where it's like always.
How old were you?
This was like I was 24.
You were like two or 3 years ago.
This was last week. But I mean, but I hear what you're saying about like parental love and about how it is like there. It's also, especially with you know, Latinos and Mexicans, it's like there's this sense of like love is shown by providing, especially to fathers, I think, is that love is shown by being a provider, and they don't know how to communicate any other way aside from how can you expect that I don't love you when I pay for your house, when I buy your clothes, when I do all of these things for you. This is the only way that I know how to show that I love you, especially between men. Yeah. Because they're only supposed to show you how to be a man. They're not supposed to show you how to love your kids or like how to love a son, you know. That's how it feels. So that I think there is it is hard, because I know a lot of women that love their dads, and their dads are super sweet to them because they know how to show love to a woman. I think that's what it is. Yeah. You know? And like, they're always super sweet, say really nice things. But with the sons, it's like, it's harder for them because they don't know how to communicate these things. They can't call them my princess or my prince or stuff like that. Yeah. They have to show them how to be strong and tough and be responsible and be a provider. And there's some positives in that, but also, you know, communicate emotionally kind of a thing, which I'm happy that I'm able to do now with my dad. We have really open discussions, and we talk to each other like humans, and that sounds weird to say, but it's like, it's a beautiful thing. Like, I remember I had a conversation with my dad a few months ago where I was talking to him about my drug addictions, and he did not like bat an eye. He just listened to what I had to say and was like, and it didn't get heavy. It didn't get awkward. He just like told me his experiences, and we just went back and forth, and just how we're talking right now. Yeah. And it was great. It was awesome. And I like cried about it later.
Yeah. It's a weird thing. Like, talking to my dad now, even now though, like, you know, you were saying vocalizing love and whatnot. Like, even now, whenever I see my dad or say bye to him, I hug him and say I love you, and he's still just like, love is stupid. What the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, get away from me, let go of me, dude. And like, I can't hug him for too long or anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I'll say in that regard, our dad was different. Like, I always used to make the joke that our dad wasn't our Mexican dad. Our mom was kind of our Mexican dad. Like, when you hear like Latino comedians joke about their dad, it's always like, he's that vato that like can't say I love you. It's like, my mom was more like that than my dad was for sure. Like, one point that it was weird for me as a kid growing up, because I was in that environment, was my dad made it a point to say I love you at the end of every phone call.
Oh, see, that's...
And he was the kind of dad where he was like, he wouldn't get like angry or anything, but he would joke if you didn't say it back, and like wait for you to say it back.
Yeah, like I do with my friends now.
Yeah. And it was a thing where he was like, he was that kind of dad that like would kiss you, like he would accidentally get my lips sometimes. Like, it's fine, you're my son, shut up. And it was like, I just don't like it because you always put like, he wore beeswax chapstick, so it always smelled like beeswax chapstick. I just didn't like smelling like that all the time. Yeah.
You know, there's something to be said about too, like, I know I talk about this a lot, but alcohol, dude. When my parents get drunk, they're way more affectionate, especially my grandpa. My grandpa would get drunk and be like a love machine, dude. And that sounds nasty, but like, okay, you guys have dirty minds. What's
I'm
called?
A platonic love machine.
No, but he would just be like, mijo, I love you. You know, like that whole drunk grandpa kind of thing, you know? Same with my dad. My dad would be like, you know, like, I'm proud of you and shit. Like he'll, I mean, my fucking family watches this, but from my experience, he'll only say that like with conviction when it comes with alcohol, which I'm not saying that they have problems. I'm just saying that. But it's easier. It's like a lube.
Yeah,
you know?
It's a lube. Yeah.
That's talking about love machines and lube. God, Jesus.
No, but it's real. I remember I was 24, I think. I was out of town and I got drunk with some friends and we were walking to a show and like I just called my dad and my mom each, and I was embarrassed because I was drunk, but I called them because I was like, I really love you guys and like I appreciate you, and I was like I'm sorry that we couldn't have this conversation while I was sober.
Yeah,
you know. But it's hard. It's just when you grow up in an environment where one, it's not acceptable behavior to be affectionate, and two, where because of either trauma or because of work, you know, my mom worked a bunch, because of so many things that you just are unable to do those, so you don't develop those skills with your family.
Yeah.
It's hard. And then alcohol comes and kind of chips away at those things, and realize I think that's why, you know, touching back all the way in the first episode, that's why Mexicans, maybe it's part of the code, like that's why they're afraid to give up alcohol, because some people feel that that's their only outlet to be able to be emotional, because it scares them to do it sober.
Yeah.
I would say the only thing I was going to touch on was like, I would say even with our dad, because again, our dad wasn't like that. Like he was affectionate, he wasn't afraid to be affectionate, but like it was a thing where like if he did that with us while we were at school, we'd get teased for it. So even if it wasn't coming from him, it was still that environment that we grew up with. As far as I remember, like our dad was never afraid to be affectionate.
So like a lot of these embarrassments, a lot of not being able to communicate with them, a lot of it was on my end, and like I said, it's just about resentment. I called him in the middle of the quarantine, and I was like wanting to work on our relationship, and I told him I want to be more present, I want to visit you more, I want to see each other more, and I was just like, damn, I wish that I would have done this 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing.
But that's a regret that, you know, I don't know if it lives with you every day. You know what I mean? You think about that phone call and you're like, I fucking wish I would have done the phone call like 10 years ago, you know?
Yeah.
Because I told you the other day that like I never really sat down and talked with my dad. Mm-hmm. And then I want to say a month ago, probably now, like he asked me if I wanted to go outside and talk, and I'm like, oh shit, what did I do? You know, like that natural instinct.
Yeah.
But it was just like a 3-hour chill sesh where we smoked a cigar and we're talking.
Yeah.
And we've had some of those here and there, but like the conscious effort to like sit down and just check in with each other. Like I fucking yapped for like an hour, and then he yapped for an hour, and then we had like the combination of both of us yapping at the same time, and not drunk, like I don't know, like just chilling.
Yeah.
Which is something that I didn't grow up with. Like I was always like dying to talk to my dad when growing up, but he was teaching me, like, I don't know, he was teaching me something that I love the person I am today, you know? And whether that's directly caused by what he taught me through those non-actions, you know, I don't know. I'm appreciative of all of it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't want any of this to seem like I fucking hate my dad. Like that's what I think, that like the beginning of this episode is like low energy, because there's no hate I have towards my dad.
Yeah.
There's misunderstanding of like what he was trying to accomplish. And like we mentioned at such a young age, having a kid that like me, dude, like I'm a fucking crazy person, dude. You know what I mean? And trying to manage that, like I would never be able to, I can't even fathom like not doing the things he did. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in my opinion, they were justified, even from retrospect. Like maybe there are different ways to handle these situations. Maybe I wouldn't have gotten as crazy as I did if you would have handled it differently, you know, like nipping it in the bud. But when you're that young, you're still developing too, you know? And
he probably didn't have the tools. Like some people do. Some people get the tools that they need to start that young.
Yeah.
You know, and I would argue that, you know, I'm not going to say Mexicans, because I know that your dad's not a great person, but I mean, like, he was young. He probably had trauma. He probably had his own shit that he was still dealing with. And it's not that like, it's just he didn't know how to do it. He was trying to figure it out. And that's what we hear a lot, like even with my mom and my dad, but more so my mom because, you know, she was around more. But it's like a lot of the stuff that happened when I was a kid, you know, I have to address it as it happened because that's what happened. And I can't sugarcoat it and I can't try to paint it a different way. But I look at these things and I say, I understand you were just trying to figure things out and like you were doing the best you had with what you knew, what was available to you. And I think it's taken me and my brother, my older brother Anthony especially, to break the cycle and to step back and say that this pattern of behavior is not going to continue with me. I have to stop it and figure myself out. And I think because of that, like, my parents were able to, even my dad. I mean, we are so much different from my dad, all four of us, maybe except Diego, the youngest. He's the most like my dad.
Yeah.
But the rest of us are very unlike him. And it's taken him, you know, I don't know, Ryan could share a little bit more about that because I think Ryan's probably the most, I don't know. But like, he's had to relearn things and had to readjust his worldviews because of who we are. Yeah.
I would say that was one of the biggest things about that we learned about our father, like the kind of person he was like, he was always like a respect begets respect kind of a person, to the point where it's like, even, I will say this, there's someone that I know who's transgender, and my father doesn't understand that concept fully. And it kind of weirds him out a little bit, and he has to acknowledge the parts of his religion that are kind of against it. But at the same time, it's like he's met this person, and he accepts this person as a person. Like, he respects him. Like, he shook his hand when they met and got along with him, and it's like he still respects him as a human being and acknowledges that whether or not he agrees with it, that my father isn't transgender. That doesn't affect him in any way.
Yeah.
And so unless something actually happens that impedes on his life in a harmful way, he will never like actively be an antagonist towards that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's even like we've had discussions about me being, you know, queer and identifying as pansexual, and he still thinks it's weird, and he still doesn't know whether or not it's like real, but he's not gonna tell me not to, you know, he literally said like, I'm not gonna tell you who to love, and it's like, you're still welcome in my home, and stuff like that. Like, religion did save my father from like becoming a different person. He very much, if you hear the stories about who he was before, like, I would say before our littlest brother came along, before he started doing that transition to becoming who he is, and you meet him now and like talk to him, even with the stuff we disagree with, he's a completely different person. You would never guess that that's who he used to be.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he found his path, you know, through Christ. And I think, yeah, like Ryan said, that's why he hangs on to a lot of those beliefs. My dad didn't have the attention from the parents that he needed. He was kind of just brought up to be tough. He got it. He was filled with rage when he was very young. Filled with rage. He used to fight all the fucking time.
Yeah. Same with my dad. He would drive me around Lenox in LA and be like, I got beat up right there. I got beat right there. I fucked some fool up right there. He didn't say the F word. Sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, he would always show me like different parks that he would get beat up at when we would go to like funerals or whatnot in the area of where people lived that he knew.
Yeah. Yeah. The same. Well, not the same. My dad didn't really bring those things up, but my mom tells me stories about like when they were dating, when they were, you know, in high school, and like she would be talking to some dude, and then my dad would find out and then fuck this fool up.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
That's crazy. That's some Jenny Rivera shit right there.
Yeah. So like, and people, my dad had such a reputation that when I got into high school, because we went to the same high school, when I got into high school, the kids of people that didn't like my dad would try to run up on me.
Yeah.
Because of who my dad was. Like, that's the kind, you know, I think when he started having kids, I think everything kind of flipped, and I think it became less about it's the same thing like you're talking about. It's wanting to be this machismo, wanting to be the biggest and the best, But now when kids are involved, it's not about being the strongest. It's about being that responsible person. And the way that it affected him, especially with drugs and with partying and stuff, was like running away from those responsibilities because I think he was afraid that he couldn't handle it. And it just like, I mean, I've had, like I said, I'm not afraid to talk about it. I've had issues with drugs in the past.
Same. I mean, me and you used to have our checklists of drugs that we tried.
Yeah. So like, but I get how it affects you and how it's like, you're always wanting to go back to it. And you, especially when things are hard, especially when the reality of your life is that it's difficult and you don't want to face these things, you can always turn to drugs.
Yeah.
And I think that's the machismo thing. I think that was a big part of it. And then when my mom made the decision to take us away, that's when it clicked, because he, at a certain point, he realized he wanted his kids more than it. He's told me this. Yeah. That's how it kind of clicked, that he wants his kids in his life, so that he has to get through this shit.
That's what's crazy, dude. That's what I was saying at the beginning, where it's like, I've probably treated people like the same way my dad has treated me without even knowing it, because that's just like how I'm built, right? Mm-hmm. And then so like I'll stop doing things because I want to keep my car, you know what I mean? Or I'll stop doing drugs because I want to do better at comedy. I can't imagine that decision being centered around another human being, like my kid, dude, my bloodline, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, we keep going back to like, imagine if we had kids, dog, but like, that's crazy to me, dude, you know? Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I just wanted to put that in there.
No, it is crazy. I wake up sometimes in my room and I'm like, literally, I'm just like, I can't have a fucking kid. Yeah. Like, what am I doing? I have 5 roommates. Like,
this is uncle, you know?
Yeah. Like, I've been thinking about that. I'm not in a relationship, but it's like I've thought about wanting to have kids and wanting to be a father. And like, where in the timeline does that work for me? I still want to work on my career. I still want to
do a podcast,
you know, like and subscribe, please follow, leave a comment below if you want to start a podcast with your son.
Dude, my freaking mom and my uncle want to start a podcast.
Dude, that's so fucking cool. They should. We're just gonna start a network.
Yeah, just like
just our families. Isimo Network.
Isimo Network.
Ryan said that joke.
Damn, Ryan's a killer, dude.
But yeah, it's just like
wait a minute.
My dad became a trucker to kind of afford paying like child support, and even then, like, he had to make decisions that affected him as a person that we didn't acknowledge, because all we knew about it was how it affected us. Like, it was a huge thing that he would get in arguments about, because he had to, as a trucker, he had to decide between picking local places so that he could like show up to our events, or picking longer routes where he'd be gone 4 months at a time in order to help us pay for the things that were involved in like sports and stuff. And so,
which goes back to what I was saying, dude. Imagine, like, I want to work hard right now to buy new cameras.
Yeah.
But that same sentiment is carried when you have a kid, where it's like, I can't imagine a world where I can't save to buy cameras because I have kids. You know what I mean? Like, not only can you not work as much because you need to watch the kid, or you need to pay somebody to watch them for you. Jesus Christ, dude. I can't imagine that, dude.
Yeah.
And then not going to college. Like, this is why they wanted us to go to college.
Yeah.
Because we'd be able to get, like, not work so much and get paid for it.
Yeah.
But I'm over here like, I'm not having kids, baby. You know? I'm getting a vasectomy at 18, baby.
Yeah, that was like a huge thing last year for me, because I think, if I remember correctly, my mom was my age last year when she had our little brother, I think. No, that math doesn't add up. She had me.
Are you talking about vasectomies, or what does it connect with?
Like, comparing how you are as an adult to how your parents were raising you. Like, my mom...
Oh, Diego's finally reached the age that...
Yeah, our little brother has just reached the age that my mom was when she had him. And it was like, seeing how we are as adults versus what she was doing. Like, at the time that... You know, right now we're dealing with quarantine and being shitty comedians and stuff. And when she was our age, you know what I mean? This was like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But like when she was that age, she was like working 2 jobs and going to night school and putting us through school.
And we're following our dreams.
But also, social media wasn't around to really blow her up as a comedian.
Yeah, we didn't have TikTok.
Yeah.
That's true.
Maybe we tell like a good, funny memory each.
I have a few.
Oh, dude, I have a couple. Like,
do you want to go first?
Yeah.
Or do you
first of all, my dad was not a funny guy. I got my funniness from my mom, right? My dad is very stoic. He's a rock, you know? Like, when you guys met my dad, he's very charismatic, which I told Dominic, like, this is the first time I ever seen him
your
like
dad,
this.
he's like a boss.
Yeah.
Like, he's like...
That's what he's always been like.
Business.
Yes, he's a businessman. Like,
Yeah.
he's right now on some flight probably yelling at some other managers because, you know, of something out in the East Coast, you know?
Yeah.
That's what he is. He flies and is a presence when he walks into a room.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what he goes around the country for, which is insane. That's the kind of vibe he gives off. However, when he gets drunk at my family's marriages, weddings. Why did I say marriages? Anyways, when he gets drunk at my family weddings, he goes ham, dude, and it's hilarious. So there was this one time, I'll start off the story off here. There's this one time where we were at my tia Nena's wedding. Shout out tia Nena. So when we were at my tia Nena's wedding, my dad was like, Angie, my sister, I want to dance with you, right? And then they start dancing and he's like drunk and he's like, and then he goes, Angie, I farted. Can you smell it? Which is something I would say. But it was so loud that we heard it at the table. You know what I mean? Yeah. So we were all just like, Dad, you know what you said last night? And he's all like, he's all crudo. He's like, no, I don't know. And then we were like, I farted. Can you smell it? And he gets so mad when we bring it up because he likes to be that boss figure, you know? And he can't just be leaking out fart sounds. Like, like I farted, can you smell it? He can't be saying that on the regular, You
can't be a boss and fart.
Yeah, and ask people if they smelled it.
And asking
You've
people
said it like 4 times now.
Yeah. I need verification on this fart. Can you get that into me by 12?
It's a memo. Oh, shit. Last week at the board meeting, I farted. Did anyone smell that? That's so funny, dude. Anyways, that's my funny story.
Oh, I got one. It's not really about my dad. It was just a moment that he likes to tell. It's about me when I was like 5 or 6. I was really little. And, you're a kid and you look up to your dad and you want to be just like your dad. So, like, my dad he used to listen to like Tupac and Biggie, and he loved rap. And so when I was a kid, I wanted to be a thug. I didn't even know what it was, but it was just like, and so he always tells this story about, I used to beg them to shave my head when I was a kid.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, I begged my mom. My mom would not let me. And so I remember one time he took me to the barber, shaved my head, and like, I was like, this is so cool. And my mom was fucking pissed that he did that. But also he did the thing because he used to train his hair back, and you do that by like getting pantyhose and tying it in a knot and like training your hair back. And I was like, that was his excuse that we were going to train my hair to grow back. But anyway, I was always obsessed with all this stuff. And then one time he said we were driving. I don't remember we were driving, but I was just, it was just me and him, and it was quiet, and we're sitting in the car, and I'm like leaning against the window like this. And I looked at him, I'm like, hey Dad. And he was like, yeah, Dom. And I go, am I a thug? And he goes, yeah, Dom, you're a thug. And I was like, all right, good.
Did you feel good?
I did. I felt great. I was like, all right, cool.
Sweet.
And then we just kept driving.
When did you realize you weren't a thug?
I mean, it was probably middle school. I mean, now I'm like a fucking adult. Like, it's so silly. But I used to that's the thing though, is I always wanted to be a thug or a gangster or whatever. I had no idea what any of that stuff was.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be all these. I didn't like any of the stuff that came with it. I didn't like the music, the movies, the whatever. I just wanted to be a thug.
What about you, Ryan? Any funny stories? I see the cogs turning in your brain right now.
No, I mean, like, there's been funny moments. Like, our dad, that was the funniest thing is, back to what I was saying earlier about, like, if you heard about the stories of my dad and then met him today, you would have, and part of that is, like, he's a really nerdy, goofy person. Like, I have two, one's a short story, one's a long story that I turned into a joke. But the short story is, like, one time when my little brother took up football, he took up football because it was a thing that my dad knew a lot about. So it was like my little brother wanted to get to know my dad because he had more free time now. He stopped trucking as often. He took more local trips. And so they bonded over that. But I remember when my little brother hit his junior year, he got really fit. So he had like abs now and pecs. So my dad runs into him after. It was at the end of summer, so my little brother like had spent the whole summer training for football. So my dad hadn't seen him in like 3 months. So he sees this new like fit looking kid, and he goes, "What are these?" And he just starts squeezing his boobs. And it's like, that's how you greet us after 3 months of not talking to us. It was the funniest thing.
I mean, that's a good icebreaker, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, not a good icebreaker if you don't know the
Don't
person.
walk up to people and go, "What are these?"
Yeah.
But it was like a thing where like that's how we would greet him after a while. Every time we see him, he's like, "Hey, Dad, what are these?"
Yeah.
And the other thing was like, what was I gonna say? Oh, just funny stuff would happen to him. Like when the church he went to, they were born again, so he was getting baptized. And again, it was at the Marriott Hotel, so they were planning to do it in the pool, but the manager's like, "You can't do that," and they would like argue about it. And so the management sent the cleaning guy out to clean the pool so that we wouldn't be allowed to. And that was just like the funniest excuse not to get baptized. Like, we were gonna get baptized today. We were gonna be born again today, but he just dropped chlorine tablets, so you gotta wait 30 minutes. And the priest was so frustrated. She's like, "Screw it, we're just gonna use the jacuzzi." And even that was like a thing of contention. Like I said contention a lot this episode.
That's so funny. He's like, "We're just gonna use the jacuzzi." I mean, the holy water jacuzzi.
Yeah, it was fun. Like they did bless the jacuzzi.
Oh, okay.
But so the funniest thing is it's on an automatic timer when no one's using it.
Yeah.
So they dunk his head and the jets turned on, and everyone was like, and I couldn't stop laughing.
They're like, "Jesus, turn on the jets."
It was really funny.
I just wanted to say that he couldn't cleanse his soul because they had to clean the pool.
They're like, "Oh, there's chlorine tablets in there. Just don't open your eyes. Okay, you'll see Jesus after you're baptized."
That your eyes are burning? Well, that's the devil leaving.
Yeah, that's the devil. He gets on the pool. He's like, "I'm blind."
Blinded by the light of my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
Oh, what's it called? I'll tell a story. It's funny now, but it wasn't funny at the time. So I was in winter ball. You guys know baseball. I was a huge baseball kid growing up. Me and my dad would play baseball together all the time.
You're a huge kid and you love baseball?
Okay, don't say that. What's it called? So I was on the winter ball team. I forget which team, but we were playing and I got a hit, which was a rare occasion, right? I finally hit the ball. And then I ran to first base. And I don't know if you guys know baseball, but when you run to first base, you have to turn away from the base to be safe. Right? Because if you turn the other way towards second base, that means you're starting to run to second base. So you're able to get tagged out on first base. Now, mind you, I'm a kid, right? I don't know this rule. I don't know this fucking stupid ass rule, right? My dad, for winter ball, it's not like the regular season. It's like preseason type little season to get you hyped up for the regular season of Little League. So my dad was the umpire for this. It wasn't like one of those little league umpires that wears all black. It was just my dad, like with the beer behind the pitcher. I'm just playing. He didn't have a beer. Anyways, if you want me to be factual, he didn't have a beer. Okay. Anyways, so I turned towards second base, right, which will let me go. Which means that I'm able to get tagged out until I put my foot back on first base. I outran the throw. So they threw it to first. I'm a slow runner. I hit it in the outfield. They threw it to first. Almost got me out. Anyways, so I ran it, and then I turned the other way by accident. My dad told the other team. They were like, "Hey, you could tag him out." Right? and then I'm over there on first base, like walking back to first base. I'm getting tagged. I'm like, "What the fuck?" Like, I got so mad on the field at my dad, and my dad's just like, you know what I mean? Like, he's not gonna forget this. And then, like, my dad almost fucking kicked me out of the game because I was yelling at him. I was like, "What kind of bullshit is that? You know, I'm not trying to go to second base. I barely even made it to first. I hit it to the outfield and they threw it to first base in time. I'm a slow runner. Why would I go to second base?" But he told them to tag me. What a jerk, right, guys?
Happy Father's Day.
That was so funny, though. Like, looking back, obviously, it's hilarious. But I was so mad at my dad. And just the smug look, he high-fiving the other team and shit. You know what I mean?
That should be against the rules.
Yeah, no,
Umpires
I know.
Gotta be...
I mean, the umpire shouldn't be giving the freaking players advice, all right?
Right.
Sorry, I got mad there for a second.
Well, that just reminded me of one of like...
Yeah.
So I was always afraid of... they would, when I was a kid, I have acrophobia, I'm afraid, and I have bastrophobia, I'm afraid of falling. So it was like a thing where they would try to force me on roller coasters all the time. So I was always scared after a while that every ride they wanted me to get on was secretly a roller coaster and they were fucking with me. And so one year, like, they tried to get me on the Indiana Jones ride. I'm like, I don't want to. But he gets me on it, and they did explain it to me, and I was like, that sounds worse, because it's like stuff popping up at you.
Yeah.
So I kept my head down the whole time, and my dad was like, not mocking me, but he was teasing me a little bit. He's like, you're missing out on a fun show. And the funny thing is, he was so distracted by looking at me that he like leaned out a little bit and he got knocked in the head by one of the animatronic snakes. And so now we were laughing at him because I was like right to duck. It looked like it was funny. Karma.
That's did you say the Mummy?
The Indiana Jones ride. There's like a part where a snake jumps out at you and he was like, wasn't paying attention because he was like, you got to look at it. Or no, he was like moving like this to try to get me to look, so he was leaning out, and the thing like bomped him on the head.
Oh my god,
that was funny.
You had to be there.
Yeah, I wasn't there.
You were there. You were in the cart in front of us.
Oh, I was having fun.
Meanwhile, your dad's getting freaking assaulted by a fake snake. But yeah,
I will say, in fairness to them, it was fun teasing me. One time I cried for Jesus because I was scared of the ride.
Oh, at Disneyland?
Oh no, this is a Universal
Studios. When this was when they just introduced the Mummy part.
No, this was not at the Mummy part.
This
happened on the same tram ride. You tell yours. I'm going to tell this story about Ryan.
Okay, at 2 separate times I've yelled for Jesus. The guy was messing with us, and again, okay, so for context for everyone in the room, I was autistic.
You still are.
So I took things literally. So when this guy said we were in danger, I believed him. Then the ride shut off and they started making the noise of the beetles that eat your flesh off of your bone.
That are fake.
I screamed for God because I didn't know what was real and what wasn't because I was 8 and autistic.
So part of the old Universal's tram ride, I don't know if you remember it, but there used to be this part where they show you all the special effects things that they have, and one of them is they simulate an earthquake in a New York subway.
Yeah, that shit's dope.
I hated it.
Ryan starts freaking out. It starts shaking. The sidewalk, the fake sidewalk comes down, and a car like slides down and almost hits the tram. Almost hits. Yeah. And then water starts running. And I'll never forget, Ryan is just like, help us. We're down here.
People didn't know what autism was in 2005.
Everybody on the tram was laughing so hard. They're like, this poor kid. Everybody's just could not stop laughing. He's like, help us, save us. We're down here.
Movie magic is real.
That was also the first time I was on that fucking ride. No one explained to me what it was. Literally, I was like, what kind of ride is this? Because I wanted to make sure it wasn't a roller coaster. And they're like, it wasn't. But they knew I would fucking lose my shit. Like, I'm sorry.
Man. Ryan.
Sorry for all the cursing.
This is the last thing. I know we're talking stories about dad, but this is another thing about Ryan. He used to love to stand right in front of the TV. Right in front of the TV. He would block. We had to it was a thing. We had to push him out of the way or tell him to get away from it. But he had this thing where once he logged onto something, he couldn't look away, even if he was afraid. And when he started to get scared, he used to do this. Like, that was your stimming, or I don't know.
Yeah, that's what that was, because I was autistic.
He would do this. So one time we're watching The Wolfman. We're watching The Wolfman. And literally everybody knows what's going to happen because you see a full moon on screen. So we see it's the back of this dude's head and Ryan's getting scared and he's like going like this. And we're like, Ryan, get away from the TV. You're going to get scared. Ryan, get away from the TV. And the full moon happens. And then the face of the wolf man, it's the back of his head. And then he turns around and it's a big ass wolf. And he's like, ah! And Ryan fucking swan dove into the couch. Like, we're sitting here like this and he just goes, whoom! Buries his head into the pillows.
I was also, I would say what adds to this is I was a very small child. Like, I got fat when I was 10 or 11. I was literally the smallest of the 4 of us. Like, I was literally the smallest kid in school until, like, middle school.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So it looked funny when I would do things like that because I was petite.
Yeah.
Well, I love my dad.
Yes, sir. I love my dad too. And I love this podcast. He's on my podcast.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
You can't force an adult to get on roller coasters. Fuck you guys.
He just leaves. He's like, and that's
this
when
interview's over. No,
this interview's over. People can follow us on Instagram if they'd like. I know I personally have been lacking a lot on the Instagram. I had to move this week. So I got my new place now, and now get ready for an attack of posts on Instagram because it's coming, baby. Sorry, was that weird? Sorry.
At IsimoPod on Instagram.
ISIMOPOD at IsimoPod on Instagram. IsimoPod@gmail.com if you want to email us. We still have the email episode coming. I swear to fucking God, dude. Okay, sorry, probably don't swear to him that
when
hard.
you guys see this, then we'll figure it out. We're gonna do an email episode.
We're gonna do an email episode. I want to also do an episode about the soccer thing. You know.
Yeah, maybe we could combine those two ideas.
Yeah, I mean that's a good idea too. Maybe, or we could just drop more episodes a week. We're gonna drop more episodes a week. Fuck it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, because I mean, why not?
Why not?
We're at 1,000 subscribers now, dude.
At this point in time, probably.
Yeah, crazy, right?
Yeah.
First of all, congratulations to all three of us. This is nuts.
Dude,
nobody's clapping, but yeah.
Well, they're clapping out there.
Yes, true.
Yeah.
Don't want to miss up the mic.
And if you say congratulations on 1,000 subscribers, we know who you are. That you
made it
the
to
whole
the
episodes.
end.
Yeah, you'll be the first to get merch drops. How about that?
Yeah.
If
you tell us congratulations for 1,000, we'll give you $1 off.
Wait,
no, I'm just
okay. We're not giving out money, Dom. You're giving me a heart attack over here.
$1 off merch.
Yeah.
Don't hold me to that.
Yeah. And also, we might not do that.
Anyone who says that, tag us, comment that on YouTube, tag us, and I'll call you and say hello.
Ryan will say hello on your answering machine.
Hello, I'm not here.
Ryan will record an answering machine for you. Yeah.
We should make that part of the Patreon.
That's true. Huh?
I'm down.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyways, yeah. So send us a email or follow us on Instagram and rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and follow us on Spotify. Follow us on YouTube and check out our TikToks. We'll be posting clips. And also, we go live on TikTok.
We go live. We haven't been, but we are going to be doing a lot more lives.
I went live last night.
Oh.
Where were you guys? Anyways, so
putting a chair together.
But yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing, commenting. And my name is Gerardo.
I'm Dominic Angel.
You can say your last name.
I know. My name is Gerardo Alarcon.
I'm Dominic Angel.
And I'm Ryan Reyes.
Don't
fly.
Don't fly.
Okay.